Hello, dear students. I hope you are all fine. Today's lesson is about powers and roots. I want you to pay attention. This is a very easy lesson if you paid attention with me. I'm going to divide the paper into 4 parts like this. And these 4 parts are the parts of our lesson. Let's start with the first part, which is called square of a number. What is square of a number? What is, for example, square of 3? Square of 3, it means 3 to the power of 2. 3 to the power of 2. Okay? 3 to the power of 2. Some of you will tell me that 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 times. No, it's not 3 times 2. Please. 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times. Okay? So 3 times 3 equals 9. So this is a very big common mistake that some of you think that 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 multiplied by 2. No. 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times. So this number here, we call it a base. Okay, this is called the base, and this number here, we call it the power or the index. Okay, 3 here, the base, it means the number that I'm going to multiply by itself, and 2, it means that I'm going to multiply by itself 2 times. So 3 times 3 equals 9. So if I ask you what is the square of 3, Mr. Square of 3, it means 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times, which is equal to 9. This is what do we mean by square of 3 or 3 to the power of 2. Let's take another example here. If I ask you about square of 7, now I know that you will tell me, Mr. Square of 7, it means 7 to the power of 2. 7 to the power of 2, 7 is the base, the number that I'm going to multiply by itself, and I'm going to multiply by itself only 2 times, so 7 times 7 equals 49. Square of 3 is 9, 3 to the power of 2, square of 7 is 49, and I can ask you about the square of 6, for example. You will tell me that square of 6, it means 6 to the power of 2, and 6 to the power of 2, it means 6 multiplied by itself 2 times, so 6 times 6 equal 36. So what about the answer here? 9 and 49, and even if we make another example, square of 6, which is 36, square of 3, which is 9, square of 4, which is 16, square of 5, which is 25. You remember, what do we call these numbers? Yes, I know you are saying that they are called square numbers. So we can write here square numbers. Square of 1 equals 1, square of 2 equals 4, square of 3, it means 3 to the power of 2 equals 9, square of 4, it means 4 to the power of 2 equals 16, square of 5 equals 25, square of 6, 36, square of 7, 49, square of 8, 64. So these are called square number. So this is the first part of our lesson. Square of a number, it means a number to the power of 2. It means a number multiplied by itself 2 times. And when you get the answer for this, you will call it a square number. I hope you understand it. And let's move to the second part of our lesson, which is going to be easy after we have finished the first part. We are going to talk about cube of a number. What is cube of a number? What if I ask you about cube of 3? Now, cube of 3, you can guess it. It means 3, but this time not to the power of 2, it's to the power of 3, because I used the word cube. cube of a number, it means this number to the power of 3. Now you can tell me that 3 to the power of 3, it means 3 multiplied by itself 3 times. So 3 times 3 equals 9, 9 times 3, this equals 9, and 9 times 3 equals 27. Let's try another example. This is the first example, cube of 3. Let's make, for example, cube of 4. Yes, tell me. Cube of 4. Mister, it means 4 to the power of 3. It means 4 multiplied by itself 3 times. For the number that I'm going to multiply by itself. And I'm going to multiply by itself because it's to the power of 3. So 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 equals 16. And you can write it like this. 16 times 4. 4 times 6 equals 24. 4 and carry up 2. 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 plus 2 equals 6. So yes, this is the answer for this question. It's 64. So when I ask you to get the cube of 4, or when I ask you to get 4 to the power of 3, then you are going to tell me that Mr. Cube of 4 or 4 to the power of 3, I'm going to multiply 4 by itself 3 times. 4 times 4 equals 16 times 4 equals 64. Yes, I think you know what I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about the answer for this question, 27. The answer for this one, 64. And even if I ask you to get the cube of 5, yes, cube of 5, it means 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 equals 25, times 5 equals 125. If I ask you to get the cube of 2, let's write it here. Cube of 2, yes, it means 2 to the power of 3. It means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. So the cube of 2 is 8. What do we call these numbers? This is my next question. We have learned here that the answer for the square of 3, which is 9, the answer for square of 7, which is 49, and other numbers are called square, and the square of other numbers, are called the square numbers. Now, we are going to call the answers here, 27 and 64 and 8, and many other numbers, we are going to call them cube numbers. And we can get some examples for cube numbers here. 1 to the power of 3 or cube of 1 equals 1. 2 to the power of 3 or cube of 2 equals 8. Cube of 3, it means 3 multiplied by itself 3 times. It's not 3 times 3, of course, it's a 27. 4 to the power of 3 or cube of 4, it's 64. 5 to the power of 3 or 5 or cube of 5, it's 125. 6 to the power of 3 or cube of 6, it's 216, and so on. We have infinite number of cube numbers. All of these numbers are called cube numbers. We have finished the first part, the second part of our lesson. I hope you understand it. And let's move to part number 3. This is a new part. You are studying it, I think, for the first time, or even you introduced or you took it in grade 5. Let's try it together. This sign like this one. This sign is called square root. So in this part we're going to talk about something is called square root. How to get a square root of a number. I can ask you to get square root of 9, for example. How to get square root of 9? To get the square root of 9, it's very easy. You're going to ask yourself, what is the number that if I multiply by itself, I'll get 9? Yes, I know you are saying now, it's a 3, because 3 times 3 equals 9. So if I ask you to get a square root of 25, for example, you will tell me a number that if I multiply by itself, I'll get 25. Yes, what is the number that if we multiply by itself, it will be 25? What is it? I know you are saying that this number is 5. So square root of 25 is 5. What about the square root of 81, for example? Yes, mister, when you ask me about the square root of 81, you are asking me about a number that if I multiply by itself, I'll get 81. And this number for sure is 9. So square root of 81 equals 9. What about square root of 64, for example? Yes, square root of 64 is 8, because 8 times 8 equals 64. And you will notice that when I ask you to get a square of a number, I only asked you about a square root of a square number. Square root of 9, square root of 25, square root of 81, square root of 64. So I cannot ask you at this stage about a square root for a number that is not a square number. Okay? I hope you understood it. Let's move to the next part and our last part. And you can guess, we talked about the square of a number and the square root. We talked about the cube of a number. So you can get that our fourth part here and our last part will be about cube root of a number. Let's start by an easy one. I'll ask you to get the cube root. So what is the cube root sign? It's the same as the square root sign, like this one, but we write 3 here. So if I only write it like this, without a number here, it means a square root. If I wrote the sign with 3 on the top left like this, so now this sign represents the cube root. I want you to get the cube root of 8. How to get the cube root of 8? Now, to get the cube root of a number, you will ask yourself for a number that if I multiply by itself 3 times, I'll get 8. If you cannot get it, you can write on the margin like this on the draft. You can multiply 1 by itself 3 times. 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. This is not 8. Let's try 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. So what is the number that if I multiply by itself 3 times I'd get 8? Yes, it's 2. So I'm going to write 2 here. So the cube root of 8, it means a number multiplied by itself 3 times to give me 8. Which is what? For sure, it's 2. If you don't understand this one, please pay attention for the next example. I want you to get the cube root of 125. So when I ask you about the cube root of 125, it means I'm asking you about a number that if I multiply by itself 3 times, I'll get 125. So what is this number? Let's continue here. We know that it's not 1 because 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. It's not 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. It's not 125. Let's move to the next step. 3 times 3, 9 times 3, 27. It's not 125. So what about 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4? 4 times 4 equals 16. 16 times 4 equals 64. It's also not 125. So what about 5 times 5? 25. 25 times 5, 125. Yes, 5 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's 125. So I know that you are telling me cube root of 125 Mr. equals 5. Why? Because 5 multiplied by itself equals 5 multiplied by itself 3 times equals 125. Let's take another example, and it will be the last example for this session. It's a cube root of 64. When I ask you about the cube root of 64, it means I'm asking you about a number that if I multiply by itself 3 times, I'll get 64. Here we have in the margin, 1 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's 1. 2 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's 8. 3 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's 27. 4 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's 64. It's the number that I'm searching for. It's a cube root. So it means that cube root of 64 is 4. So if you have a question about the cube root like this example, you can make this margin on the draft. You can make 1 times 1 times 1, 2 times 2 times 2, 3 times 3 times 3, 4 times 4 times 4, till you reach the number that you are searching for. It's a cube root like 8, like 125, like 64. And you will notice that I'm only asking you to get a cube root for cube numbers. Thank you for that session. I hope you learned something new, and see you in other sessions inshallah. Thank you all.